three things you should learn today, right? Target group, activities, and context. And of course, it's also something about the neighbors who's living here. Is it some people who goes around with a pipe and heating each other in the evening? Then we cannot use wood. We should probably use steel and all this kind of things. This is a very special project I mentioned before for blind people. We did first we did a track. Some people are becoming blind in their life, so they need to learn to go with a stick, they need to learn to go with a dog, and all this kind of challenge. I can promise you that all the shops here, they love it. And if you have a restaurant, you love it, because all the families are coming there. Because this is where the kids like to go, so this is where the family is going.
Jens Bo Thorsager, founder of Elverdal. Since 2007, he has been actively involved in shaping play and recreational spaces across the Scandinavian countries. In his work, he places strong emphasis on design, creating environments tailored to their surroundings, which evoke specific feelings in those who visit them. He highlights the importance of movement and play, particularly in the learning process.
First of all, we do outdoor places, and it's typically in parks, in green areas. It's squares. It can be at main streets where people are walking. It can be in associations and commercial. This can be entertainment parks. This can be shopping centers and this kind of thing. It can be around housing also. So this is the places where we do this kind of designs. And we divide it into 4 types of designs, because when we need to find a design model, then it's nice for us to have some kind of categories. And the first one is day trip destinations. This means that this is something that you travel for, and you spend a lot of time before you're going home again. It can be close to your home, so you don't need to travel, but it is something that you are not used to seeing. Then it's the urban area. This is in the city, between the buildings, defined as this. Then there is a recreation area. This is typically a place where you do sports and this kind of thing. And then we have the residential area that's very close to our homes. And just to give you an example, this is a day trip destination. This is playgrounds that's in a large scale. So this is not the smallest playground. The audience we have here is very wide. One example, this is Sofiero Garden. It's a castle in Skåne in Sweden. And at that castle, there's a history with the king living here and his daughter playing. And this is actually a playground that's 100 years old. And at that time, we need to do something for them. So we did these big booths up here on this garden. And we also did something in the trees. And then there's a strong storytelling in it as well. There's a story in this booth. It's a big garden, so you're using the booths in the garden, and that's why they're standing there. This is another entertainment park. It's Knuthenborg. It's a safari park in Denmark, and there you can meet all the animals from Africa, the big five, and this kind of things. And they have an area for when you come with your car, you drive into this leisure area, and in this leisure area there's a playground. And there we did a copy of Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa. And of course we did the mountain so it should look like it's exploding. So you can see the lava coming down from the top of it, and actually there's a steam cannon in the top, so it sends out so it looks like it's exploding. The third one is Sommerland Fyn. Is another entertainment park. It's also something that you, at day trip destination, you go towards it and then you have the experience. The urban area, that is what happens between the buildings in the city. It is often places where the square meters is very limited because it's expensive square meters. So we only get smaller places. It's typical things that we do that's more a sculpture. So it's something that you can look at if you are grown up, then it's seen as a sculpture, and the kids, they see a sculpture I can play on, and so on. And it's something that you'll attempt spontaneous when you're spontaneous, come to the place, then you just use it and attack it. And this is some examples. This is from Sweden, from Sandviken. It's a small village, but they have a shopping center in the middle. And between the shops, there's this recreation area where you can go and climb on this stuff. This is in Stockholm, at a very fancy place. In the old days, this was the place you don't supposed to go, but now it's very fancy and new rebuilt houses, flats for billions and so on. This is Horsens. I will show you this project later on. This is also a main street where we have done something very special. The recreation area, it's typical something that encourages people that meets it to do some physical activities. So the first here is a park in Copenhagen where there's a training session, and there's also made an area that we did there for rehab. So people that's coming to the main hospital in Denmark and being trained, they can go out in the park and they can do the training program here. So we have done something here that's very much for the users, that they can try and do several kind of things. And it's also next to here we did a playground also, but that's another story. So the recreation area is very much to get people active. The other project here is Gladsaxe Sports Center, and in this sports center there's a big football lane and people are coming and they're making a lot of noise, and there's also tennis and paddle tennis and skating and all kinds of things. And now that we have this global heating, they got 100 million Danish kroner to rebuild the sports area because they should take care of all the water that's coming down from the sky. So we did this magazines for water. So at rainy day, when the sewage is not capable to take the water, then it's steaming up in the playground. So we did this play equipment here, and it was, first of all, it was made like a sculpture. And it was something that when you come there, you see the waves in the sculpture, like the water. And then we filled in some climbing equipment. And the target group here was girls, teenage girls. So this should sort of be the girls' chamber. And afterwards, the client said that we succeeded because it's the place where the teenage girls are meeting. So it's just to give you a feeling of different kind of places. This is parkour, also a residential area, and this is a climbing system. Then we have the residential area where we are living, and you can see this is actually some high buildings and lower buildings and so on, so it's very close to where people are living. So you can go out from your apartments and you can use it and you share it with your neighbor. So this is where you meet your neighbor, this is where I get my best friend if I have a child, and so on. So very close to home, it's not on the main street, it's very local. Yeah. Often we also see this kind of playgrounds used by daycare and this kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. So how do we design it? And again, we use a model, how we come from an idea into an approval and a solution. And we have sort of an initial phase. And this is where where the consultant starts to work with the client. So in the initial phase, we send the consultants out and they sit together with the client and they got absorbing a lot of information. Then they take it back to the design. We have the design phase, and then in the end, hopefully we get the approval and we can deliver the goods. So let's look at these phases. The first phase, the initial phase, we have made a scheme. So this means that the consultants who sit with the client, they sort of follows the questions in the scheme, and we get all the right information with us back home. So that's very essential for us when we do the design, is that we get the right information about the users and this kind of things. So again, context, we'll see what that is in these public places in a moment. It's a target group again, and it's activities. And that was the 3 things you should learn today, right? Target group, activities, and context. So this is what we are trying to collect in the beginning, and then we put it into the design phase. But let's go into the context. When we come to a public place, many times it's built so we can just go around and then we can experience the site as it is. So we can see how is this going to be in the future, what kind of expression is there, what kind of feelings are we getting when we get into the room, and what kind of possibilities are there. So it's observing and it's collecting ideas from the clients to what it can be. We look at where's the traffic, because traffic is making noise. Traffic is not good if the kids is running out to the traffic and so on. It's also something about where is the shadows. It can come from the building, it can come from trees, and can come from other kind of things. It's the terrain, is it going up or down, or what is happening here? And I think actually Cecilia showed a project before where it was downhill terrain, where this is some terrain that you normally not can use, but we actually used it for this for the oldest kids in the school. So there's plenty of possibilities, we just need to adapt it to each place. And of course, it's also something about the neighbors who's living here. Is it some people who goes around with a pipe and heating each other in the evening? Then we cannot use wood. We should probably use steel and all this kind of things. Sun, is that okay, or is it a good thing? Or what about access to it? What is the flow onto the place and so on? So context is very essential to understand what is happening on the site. So we take a lot of photos when we are there, so we can bring it back to the designers, and the designers can see, okay, this is what it's about, and then we try to describe what's happening in this place. Okay, the target group. When we're out in the public place, the target group can be very wide, and it can be the smallest kids, it can be for grown-ups, it can be for old people. And this is just to show you, this is the fitness center again in the Gladsaxe, and these people that comes here, they are fit because they go to sports. All of them normally do sports, and they have their active, they have their programs, so we just need to challenge them in some way. This is normal kids. They just out experience in this garden. What can we get? How can we play here? So we need to put in some roles and things for them. This is a very special project I mentioned before for blind people. We did first we did a track. Some people are becoming blind in their life, so they need to learn to go with a stick. They need to learn to go with a dog, and all this kind of challenging their meeting when they run into a pole or something like that is not good. So therefore, we did a training track for them, so they can sense and feel things, and how can they look different between colors and this kind of things. And when we had this meeting with these guys, we were coming to them, and we sort of feeling, okay, it's not good to be blind. So we had sort of, we was a little, oh, it's so sad for you that you're blind. But these people, they was so much alive, and they were so positive, and they was just making jokes, and we were doing a PowerPoint presentation and say, yeah, we can see that, and they couldn't see anything, and so on. And then one of them asked, can you describe how is red? And then one of them said, when you can see it, it's nearly the same as grass for us that's blind, and so on. So we had a lot of discussion with these clients, but this is very important for us when we go to these client groups that we understand them. And this is asking questions and being open and looking them into the eyes and see what's happening here. Yeah, that was target groups. Then we have the activities, and you have heard this before. It's about senses. You remember them? Turning around, hugging, right? Remember them?
Yes, we do.
This one? Tactile?
Of course.
Yeah, good. Kinesthetic sense, what was that? Hugging, right? Using your arm, you know where your body is in the room, and then roundabout sense, or vestibular sense, right? Yeah, motorical skills is very important also, because a lot of people is needing the motorical skills, and when you get into diseases and you need to be retrained, then motorical skills is very important for you, because we know from science that if you stop walking, for instance, then you'll soon be dying. So if you look at this Joe Biden and his fumbling around and so on, that's an old guy that's in the end of his life, to be honest. And if you can walk freely and you know where the space is, you have good motorical skills, then you know you have a longer distance before you're dying. So it's very important for everybody that get diseases and so on to keep training the motorical skills. Very important for all of us. Yeah. Seating area, we also need to have a break sometime. Senses, it's about what we are touching, it's the balance and all these things that we have been hearing now for schools and kindergartens and so on. So I'll not go this deep into it, but it's the same thing that we're using again. And of course we're using it in materials, so it can be concrete and it can be all kinds of materials. And if you're blind, we also need to have a feeling of what is it that are meeting in the outdoor space. So we did sort of a small city for them to they could get a feeling of it. Yeah. Motorical skills, we have also been through them, right? Pop up a little bit. Okay. I think that it's when we have this nice body, and in the beginning we can't do this much with the body, and then we start to rise up. and then we are falling, and then we rise up again, and we're falling again, and then we start walking, and then we need something to walk with, and we walk around in the living room and so on. Everybody is having a different potential. And when we look at the smallest kids, it's one potential, and we need to be working on this. When we are looking at grown-ups that's doing sports and active, like Andres, who plays tennis every week, he can do a very difficult exercise compared to other persons. And a fat guy like me, I'm not that sporty. I will do some more easy exercises. But it's important for all of us that we train this motorical skills. Yeah. This is some examples. This is just for a kid, climbing up and climbing in, and it's difficult to come from here into the room and so on. So it's strengthening their motorical skill to climbing in and out of things. And this is actually something we did for a rehab center. It's just lying next to here. So this is a training exercise for them, and this one we developed together with the client and their architect actually. So it's a combination of Elverdal's architect and them. And you can train walking up here in balance, and you can jump from one to another and making steps up and down and this kind of things. Yeah. Seating areas. Kids will normally, when they're playing, just take a seat, and then they sit at a rope or they sit at whatever they need if they need a break. But it's also nice sometimes that we do places where the grown-ups can sit and read, or they can eat and do things like this. So we need to have some areas where we can meet with the kids on the playgrounds. We also need to have some areas where the teens, they can be themselves. So they can be hanging, and they can be smart, and they can sit there with their iPhones and see what I found and so on. And if they're sitting in this kind of structures, then they're moving at the same time. So it's also training their motorical skills, right? So small training we can just build in without their knowing it. But they don't see it as a play equipment, they see it as a hangout place for them. And of course, when we do the playgrounds, we also put in places where the grown-ups just can sit and talk and be social, because it's also important for us. So that was the initial phase. What are we collecting from the area? What can we take home to the designers? And then the designers start their phase. We're going to look at it in day trip destinations. I'm not going to do it in all of them, but we're going to go down in day trip destinations so you can see how we design day trip destinations. When we're talking about a day trip destination, we always try to find a theme. So this theme is going to be the storyline. We make this story making every time we try to do this kind of playground. So just to give you a feeling of stories, Knuthenborg, that was the safari park. They have some very big oak trees. So instead of moving oak trees there, then we made a copy of an oak tree, just scaled up. So this is 3 meters in diameter, and it's 5 meters high. So the kids can climb into this oak tree, and they can climb up in it, and they can look over the area where all the monkeys are. And just next to this area, all the floor play is placed also, because it gives you some kind of visualization. This is a castle in Sweden, Vadstena. We made a small copy of the castle next to the castle, so we get the storyline from the castle. This is a garden in Copenhagen. This is a dragon theme. This is a sculpture of a mammoth. We made a copy of, and this is a farming place where there was a story around this castle that about how it was to be a farmer in the 1700s. So we made a copy of this. So this theme is important when we do day trip destinations. Every place there's a theme, there's a story, we just need to find it. And we need to find the right story for this client, because if we come with the wrong story, then the client says, oh, that was a bad story, I don't like it, and then it's all gone. So we try to search in to find the right story for each place that the client like. Yeah. This is some stories again. This is just next to the, some that was in Copenhagen saw this playground. It's just next to the train lines in Copenhagen that goes around. And we just took this train and we put it up in the on some pillows and anchored it. So it's taking a storyline out of this place and placing it here, so it becomes alive. But it can also just be smaller things like this. So you can go and play that you are living in the castle, or this is at a seaside in Stavanger, where we made a crab, or a copy of a crab. Yeah. Then we're talking about the appearance, and it's close to the castle. This is close to these monkeys at Knuthenborg, there's a lot of bamboos. So this nature bamboos is just living up. And we took the foreplay and we placed it there, and it was very lucky. It was a standard product, so quite easy to fill it in and use it here. And this is another place where we try to take in sound. So that can also be something about the senses that we like to tell a story or something like that. The resting area, there's a longer stay. It's typical for the families, so they sit and eat their food. The grown-ups can sit and talk. And then, of course, for the kids, they just take a smaller break. So this is just on a hill like this. It's more informal and social. Yeah. Then we have something about zoning. And zoning is that we try to be dividing things into zones. And it can be after age group. So we have the smallest kid for themselves, because it can give a lot of conflicts, and they can be dangerous if I'm a small kid to meet a big kid and so on. So we try to do some zoning where the small kids are for themselves. We try to do some areas where they can focus the kids, and they can be creative. They can sit in the sandpit, so it should also be a calm area. And there can also be functions that can be dangerous if we take the swing and the carousel, and jumping off and so on. So we try to do this in smaller zoning. So when we're designing, target group, theme, activities, fill it into the daycare. And now comes the design. We look at the existing context, right? And then we find the main attraction. And this is the theme, this is the castle, this is the boots, this is this kind of thing. So the main attraction is a primary function. This is what you're meeting. This is what we are selling the project by. So this is a little bit like if you are a marketing and trying to sell a new cheese brush or something like that. Then you do this pitch, and we use the theme to do the pitch. So this central function is what we are selling it when we're out with the clients. Okay? And we have the secondary functions, like the other things is also going to be shown. Then we fill in the resting area. So this is a good place to stay. This is in the shadow, or this is close to the smallest play, or there can be different kind of arguments, as you saw before also by the resting area. There can be something happening in the train that we need to build in. This is just placed like this, but it's normally all over the train problems or challenges. There can be sewers, there can be light poles, there can be different kind of things that we need to accept and just be living with. And this kind of terrain we need to just look into. Especially in Norway and Sweden, we have the mountains, and there's cliffs and stones coming out, and we just need to handle them and use them in the play as well. Then they have the planting. There can be some existing planting that we're looking into. And if there's some big trees, of course, we'll try to keep them and not cut them down, or just cut them a little bit down if it's necessary. And then we'll look into if we need some extra planting. We'll look at the flow. How is the flow in and out of the square? What is happening when people are coming? Are they coming from the back side or front side? Or how they're coming in? We're looking about fencing. Some public places we need to fence, some we don't. If it's a main street where people are walking, we don't need to fence it. But if it's close to a road or another thing, then we need to be sure that the kids are not running into the road. And of course, lighting can also be a topic when we do this outdoor places. So this is what it's all about, and it's described here. So this is what we fill in to the design when we're working with it. This is an example of a project Hans Henrik sold. Yeah. When we sold this project, the designer, she stood in front of the audience like you. Then she had a whiteboard. She took a pen, and then she told the story about this place, what they're going to do on the whiteboard. So she just told the story. Next thing we did was that we took a video about the project. We saw the project on a video, and they bought it. It's amazing what you can do. You don't need to do a big PowerPoint. You just need to have the right storyline. In this place, it's in Silkeborg. We actually did two projects. The first one we took from a local artist. We did a very nice project. We thought we had the right project, but the client didn't like it. So we have a second chance. So we did it all over again. And they liked us to use the landscape. They liked us to use the trees. They liked us to use the water. And they liked it to be a part of what the kids are meeting when they're around in Silkeborg. So this is for the smaller kids, and here you can see this. It's sort of the terrain. It's a hilly place, so we cut small hills out and make them as silhouettes in the terrain. And then we took this from the big trees there and made a copy of them. And here you see the plan. Down here is the water. Up here is the museum for the artists that don't like. I think they like the artist, but it should not supposed to be him. And there was a reason, because they like to move the museum at some time. So that was why they didn't accept it. Here we have a place, a cafe, where they can buy coffee and sausages and this kind of thing. And this is a place where you can come with your own food and you can sit and eat and so on. And at the top you can place your bicycle, and then there's some systems where you can come towards the playground. So we took this area as a playground, and then we took the terrain and moved it in as fingers. So you can see it's going up and in here. And then you have some levels down here with sand as fall protection. And then close to the area with the cafe, we placed the smallest kid, and longest away we put the oldest kid. So if you're 15 old and you come to the playground, then you just set your bicycle here and you go to the playground. And if you come with mom and dad, then you get the mom and dad to buy something here. So it's good for the business. And they sit here and they're very close to the kids. And then we work with what kind of flows are the kids having around in this playground. So you see them coming up and down and running in and out. And they're coming onto the nature, out of the nature, into the playground. So it's on and off in the system. Can you see it? That's a big success. Right, Henrik? Okay, that's a day trip destination. So it don't mean to be an entertainment park. This can be a place you just go to if you're living close to Silkeborg, because this is an amazing playground, right? Good. Then we go to the urban areas. I'm just going to give you some examples first. We talk again here about the aesthetic appearance. What is it that's selling this project? So therefore we are working on, this is inside Copenhagen. We are fencing, and in the middle of the city the cars are going around and all of kind of things are happening in the city. And then we are trying to do an outdoor space where people can go in and the kids can climb up and they can slide down and they can run around there, and there's a bench for the grown-ups and so on. This is another place where we are waiting for the boat trip. So there's a small activity that the kids can go and play here while you're standing in line and waiting for the boat. This one, Hammerbykai, we saw before. This is Mars Target. This is actually made by an artist. They have hired in an artist, but she didn't know how to produce it. So she asked us, can you do this? And we said, yeah, of course we can. So she made some water play here, and then we had some sculptures, and this is the table tennis, and this is Horsens again, I'll come back to. So the aesthetic appearance is very important. This means that we can put up the price on stuff. Yeah. Colors is essential. If it fits in, this is close to a sea where you can bathe. So we made the playground. You can go up here, and it looks like you are out in the sand, close to the beach. Materials is important. When we did this one, I'll show you in a moment. We took a standard carousel, we cut it into pieces, and we put a bronze edge on it, and we put mahogany lamels onto it, and we sold it for 3 times the price of the carousel. So it's because the clients like to have it that way. Then there's the inspiration. This is actually the artist I talked about before, right? He didn't have his playground in Silkeborg, but he have it another place. We're going to get back to it. But you can see we took one paint here. This is the happiness garden that he drew, and then we took elements out of it and we built a playground beyond this theme. So a little function. There's some volume. This is between the buildings where you have the shopping on each side. So we are not supposed to do something big here. So we need to have it down, flatten out. So we use trampolines and small hills. So up and down and then jumping on the trampolines. Then we are using the surface sometimes. So we just did the rubber surface and the small back up and down, and then you can go and balance on it. So the surfacing can also be an element that we're using in this areas. And here you see the example. This is Horsensgågade. Very nice carousels, very, very nice kids. That's another thing. And also here we set up some mirrors, and the mirrors is going out and in, so you can see yourself as a fat or slim or high and with long legs and how on. So it's experience for the kids. And you can see Theodore standing there and talking to Olivia in the other end. So it's just some talking pipes, and you can actually follow the line and figure out if it's this pole that goes to here or which one it is. So this is when people are in shopping in the main street, then the kids can be outside and they can just exercise or do small things when the parents are doing this. Is this a good idea? I can promise you that all the shops here, they love it. And if you have a restaurant, you love it because all the families are coming there. Because this is where the kids like to go, so this is where the family is going. And it is that if the kids are happy, the mom are happy, everybody is happy. That's how it is. Right? Good. We take the recreation area as a third one. We see this very much as following trends, because a lot of trends is happening in the recreation area, and one time we had parkour as a big trend. We did that a lot of places. We have had a lot of places where they like to have something for this physical activity, what cross training. I'm not good at it. And this is an example of football golf. Have you ever heard about that? It's like a golf, just with a football, so you play it, like on a ball court, but just with your feet. So this is the first place done in Denmark, so we did this together with an artist, and you need to hit this one, and then he turns around or put the ball up here or something like that. So you need to train your exercise, and it's close to Herning football club. And of course, it can be different kind of activities, climbing activities and so on. It's also very popular. You see some of the trends here. Physics, parkour, basket. Basket also very trendy at the moment, actually. Yeah. So we try to take this impulse in and work with them on these kind of places, so it gets what the client is searching for. You also see this paddle at the moment. They're coming up all over, but we just didn't take it on. Then we are talking about activities. This is a project we did on a rooftop. So you have a high fence here, and then you can play basket on the field here. Over here we have a business center, so people that's visiting business center can go out and use, there's a small bridge here, go in and out of the business center, all around. They did a big housing. So the story here by selling the houses was, you can go up on this roof, and then you can meet people from a conference in Bella Center. So you can talk to a science from California and meet me every day here. So this was one of the stories that they used the developers to sell the projects with the housing around here, and it's actually very cool up on the top. And then on the ground we did a playground. This is very much orientated according to rules. So when we have this kind of play, it's rule that's orientated against. When we are doing parkour, it's more rule-free activities. And I think that it's important that these teenagers know that there's something where they can define the rules, and there's another play where the rules are set. Yeah. Surfacing is also important. It can be wood chips, it can be rubber, and it can be artificial grass and so on. So it's also one of the elements that we are working a lot on in this recreation area. Lighting is an element. We call it function light. That is a football play. I need to have the function of the light here so I can play the ball. We call it comfort light. That is in the main street. We did this metal and we raised it, and then we put light under it. And this means that when you're going to the street, it's very comfortable because you can see where the elements are, so you can go around it. And then we did, at the last example, something we call ambient light. And ambient light is that you get an atmosphere when you are there. So we put the light inside the play tower, and then it's actually made of a polycarbonate plastic around. So we are lighting it up, and you can see all the ropes inside. Yeah. I'm just going to give you an example. This is Frederikssund Idrætsby. It's like a sports city close to a city in Denmark. And next to here, there's a football area, and there's a swimming area. So a swimming arena, so you can go into and swim with families. Between these two, we were supposed to do an activity area. So we did ball courts like this for multi-purpose, and we did climbing structures and this kind of things. And you can see it here. So it's divided in. This is for very physical active, and this is for the gymnastics, and this is for the rule games, and so on. So it's divided into zones after what kind of groups you like to play in. Yes. Residential areas. This is where you're living. So it's defined by close to home. So this is where people are living. This is on an old harbor. So we took just a theme, old harbor, and then we made it here. So it's like in the water that wood are floating, and there's a small crane and things like this. So we set it up close to the home. And it can be balancing thing and all kind of things. But it's smaller things that the smallest kids typically can use and exercise on. Yeah. This is spaces for communities. This is where we meet each other. This is where kids are getting bonded up with other kids in the street. So it's very close to them. It's also where we meet our neighbors. It's good to have good relationship with them. And it's something that you use every day, and it's a safe environment for kids, so it's typically fenced in or done something like that. Yeah. The landscape model is actually the same as we saw before, but it's building typical on the existing landscape. So we are trying not to do big changes in the existing landscape. And it's very accessible for all the residential that comes to the place, but it's a main function and there's some secondary functions. Yeah. One example here is Bregneparken. So you have the play tower here, and you have some balancing element between the buildings, and you have something smaller activities for street ball and so on. So let's talk about why are we doing this tailor-made playgrounds. And actually you just got the background. It's because whenever we start on things, we start with the client, we start looking at the client, we start to look what can sell here, how can we sell it? And this reflects back and say, okay, then we need to have something built that's custom made because it's necessary here. But it's not every time we need to do something custom made, because if you look at the project we did at Glutenborg, there was this concrete tower, that's a custom made, and then there was a floor system all around, and the 80% of the project was standard product from Buglo. So it's easily to do. We just need to only use the custom where it's necessary. We have been doing this tailor-made or custom-made playground since 2007 when we started. From the very beginning, the first custom-made playground I did was we took just a lot of Rubinia poles and then we set them up, like 200 Rubinia poles in a forest. This is Axel Møller's garden. This is the Theodore series. So we just took a standard element and it's fulfilling. It's standard all the way. We probably filled in a few things, so it's a modification somewhere. This is another park we did in 2012. This is actually on a train. There was this train shifting area, but so it goes from one and going in and out. And then they like to rebuild it and have a park here. And then we made a theme playground about train tracks. So we did all these pipes going around like train tracks. This is the shifting spores. The colors is the colors of the train line in Copenhagen, and this is the streets where the trains are stopping. So the kids can go around here and play that I'm living here and you're living there, and then they're balancing and doing things like this. So this was getting into the story and using it here. Yeah. So it's a little different. Sometimes very custom, something very standard, and something in between. We'll just look at the process from the standard product. That's what you're doing every day. We also have something we call standard in Elverdal. According to Bartos, I don't know what a standard product is, but he's trying to learn to teach me. So in Elverdal we have a standard because we produce it again and again and again. That's what we define it by. Then we have a standard that we do in the builder. We still call it a standard because it's based on standard elements. It's just how we configure it. So it becomes individual to each customer, but it's made on standard elements. Then we can do a modification. This is actually a standard frame with a mirror, and it's standard in our program. And then because the client likes to have something about a garden, then they fill in some extra thing. It's a small modification. These three elements is all produced at Buglo today. In the future, we'll see if how long we can come on this line, the custom on the other end. Because this is made in concrete, you'll probably not have concrete production and so on. But there'll be a lot of projects we can do in the custom in the future. Okay, do you know the builder?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. This is just a quick introduction. You can actually go into the homepage. You can take some of the builded products. So they make examples here. You can open them up, start the builder, and then you can start changing in the product. And it can be used so you build your own product from scratch, but it can also be like here where you're starting with a product and you're filling it into a plan drawing that you have. So it's just an example we are using. You need to set the size of it and then it's there. And then you can start building. This is a very good tool, especially architects love this because they never like to have a standard. They always like to be some adjustments according to the plan area and so on that they have. So I'll just pass on. You have seen it. Okay. When we talk about custom, we need to develop it out of something. So we need to get the idea developed. And therefore we are looking for references. And we are probably having some workshops. What should the main element be here? It's not something we just figure out. It's something that we do in a group. We do together with the client. Interviews. We look at the scales. If you look at this one, when it has some very long wings and it's not doable, so we made shorter wings on it when we were designing it. So it's looking at it and taking some of the shades out, but when you look at it in the end, you actually don't see that it's not looking like the real bird. And then of course it's production. When we do develop the idea, this is the goose, we just keep onto this theme. There's actually a story around the goose, that you can fly on the goose, and the kids know this goose, this story. And when you go to the goose playground, you can draw a wheel and then you'll have the story about it. There's also some references to the nature close to the area where it's placed. So we use this, we see the goose, it's a theme that the client likes to have. And then of course we're taking in some buildings and some other things, and we can do playhouses that makes this very close to what the story is. Colors can also be a part of it. So we have a color range that we should keep it within. It can come from the client. It can also be something that we are proposing. And of course, nature is very good to imitate all the time because it's so easy to work on. This is what we sold the project at. You can see it here. This is just a sketch, and the client ordered it, right? So we go into production. And then we are starting, when we're designing, we're trying to get out of it what is the most essential part of the form. And then we are starting it, and then we are building something. This head cannot just be hanging out in anything. So we're trying to get the geometrics developed and see how we can have it hold. And then you see the process here. We go into the deer, and then we build up all these elements that's inside. And this is very important because all these trees that goes around should be sticked onto something. And then we take in the support elements, we build in the platforms, the cladding around it, and then the additional things that can be climbing elements and ropes and so on. And then you have the finished rope. So this is how it's developed in design process. And we have Simon in Denmark at the moment from the R&D, and we're trying to learn him how to do this kind of designs. Here you see it in production. When we do this, there's a lot of CNC fabrication because all the lamella inside is CNC cut. It's not a 2D, it's a 3D cut because then the planks on the cladding will fit onto it. And there's a lot of wood working, and there's also some painting and so on. So you see it here. And the finished product is like this. Do you like it? Hmm? Yeah. It's just to, when we analyze the market, then we try to understand how is the market. And there's a part of it that's, we call it fantasy. It's very much based on wood crafting, handwork, and hardwood. And it's typical small artists who are doing this. And we also do a lot of this kind of projects, but we send it out to these artists, and they cut this wood and make this for us. And this was for the rainforest for this big animal, the skeleton. Then you have the team play. It's made of this rib structure, and it's wood cladding where we put the wood planks all around it. So it's looking like a deer, and it's based on CNC fabrication. We don't have CNC in Elverdal, but we have in Buglo. So we hope that in the future that we can do this kind of production in Buglo. Then we have some of the abstract sculptures. It's more freestyle. It can be very engineering. and it can typically be done by external partners. And this is a place where they take metal and they flatten it out, and it's called rolling mill. This rolling mill, do you know that? That's coming with a big iron, and then they have two wheels, and they just press it in, and it comes a flat metal sheet. And this rolling mill factory is the central thing of this village. And around this rolling mill, there was a lot of smaller industries. So we did this rolling mill example for the city, and then behind it, there's all these small craft workers and so on that's necessary for the rolling mill factory. So this is done in the middle of the city, next to a museum. So when you visit the museum of the city, then you can just go out and play it real life. Yeah. Then, of course, it's play functions. It can be towers, it can be sculptures, and it can be climbers. So it's a typical where we go into it. It can be storytelling. This is a castle where we told the story. The next one is a landmark. This is a gear factory, actually. And it can be local signatures that's fitting to the local area. Then technical-wise, there's a lot of discussions when we get it in, what kind of production method we should be using. And this one, for instance, is made like you do concrete walls for houses. So we have this concrete done on a plate, and then we did all the fencing around, and they put iron in and filled concrete in and vibrated it, and then we had an element, and we just raised the crane. And there can also be some metal characteristics that goes into the element. This is made like a 20-meter wall that's 6 meters high that the kids can climb into. And it can also just be based on the processes that we normally have. So, yeah. So technical option is also something we're working on the custom side. Then I'm just going to show you some projects because we love our projects. So if it's too much, you just say, oh, we don't like to see more. This is at a school made in Copenhagen. This is at the 6th floor to the 7th floor, right? So it's very high up. So it's craned up, and it's built here. And the task force was that we need to do something a playground that combines the 6th floor with the 7th floor, and we need to do it that it's looking similar to the building. So we just made a simple box in wood with a wooden structure. And then we did some play elements inside it, so you can climb up as a kid and sit in it and so on. And that's just one example of a project that we can get in that's custom made. But it's all actually looking like a standard product, more or less. This is a camping site in Norway. They have actually built a new church. We call it a Stav church. It's this principle of building a church. And it's because people that's coming to this camping site, they can get married there, and they can have the party there and all this kind of thing. So they like this to be the theme in the playground, this story. So we built this up, and it's actually based on standard theater models, but we just extended it. Can you see that? And in the real life, it looks like this, standing out there next to the hills on the mountain. And we had some Viking elements that was also important for the client. This is a castle in Denmark, and when we sold this, they like to have a small copy of the castle. But the problem was there was a bridge to come over to the playground, and it could not bear more than 1 ton or 2 ton or something like that. So we couldn't come over with a tower and a truck. So we actually did this as a pancake, sliced up, produced, and split it up, and then we have it assembled on the side. And then we took all the stories from the castle, and you know this kind of stories have got ghost stories and histories back in time for things that was happening at the castle, or they were beating each other, terrible things. So we took all these kind of things with mirrors, the ghost and all this kind of thing, and put it into the playground. So there's a lot of storytelling in it. And as you see inside the castle, you can actually climb up in it. And here you see some of the stories. You can go exploring the castle here. And this is actually a wallpaper from the castle that we made a print on an HPL. This is a gear factory in this city. One that was in the city council. He had a gear factory, and he was like to sponsor this playground for the city. So we of course made what his whole life have been around, a gear factory. So this is a big gear where you can see it and you can climb into it, up to it, and around it. And now it's standing in Randers. This is a more abstract playground. This is actually done together with the kids that's living around it. So we collected a lot of stories from the kids that was around, and then we made it in some kind of children's language. So there's actually, you cannot see it here, but there's actually standing a lot of small stories around on the playground. So you can go there and you can hear the kids' story or read them. Yeah. Then of course we have something that's out of category that we're also doing. And it can be like scenographic things, it can be furnitures, it can be an observation tower, it can be anything that you like. And this is just for a square in Sweden, but this is small. It's called Daddy Helle's Talk, and there's a story about him. And you can go and play here and see theater and so on, so it's a story. This is custom-made furniture for a place in Norway. This is an observation tower that we are doing at the moment. So this is going to be produced in the old production hall in Elverdal from now and until Christmas. So this is one of the latest projects we're doing. This is, remember the picture painting? So you can see it's cut out and it's placed here, the artist. And we made a lot of concrete elements here to place it here. And it's sold in Esbjerg and it's been installed now. We need to open it in November. So it's on plan. Yeah? Do you like the custom? Yeah. Then we just go back where we started to create aesthetic outdoor places, right? Can you see we're doing this? Yes. Yeah. And it's also for communities. It's also for developing people in all kind of age and all kind of situations and so on. And the design is about the users, the context, and activity, right? That was what I'm going to say. Then Hans Henrik will explain to you how he's doing it, because I'm not doing it. Hans Henrik is doing it when he's selling it. Okay.